Welcome to the She Wins podcast. I'm your host, Heather Sumlin, and today I'm joined by Michelle Desormeaux. Michelle is one of my longtime friends. So we worked together when she was preparing for Mrs. Louisiana in 2012.
Mm-hmm.
And Mrs. America.
The pageant was in 2011.
2011, yes. So it's been a minute. It's been 13 years. Oh, my goodness. So,
right? Crazy.
So I want you to catch us all up. Tell us a little bit about who you are, and then we're just going to run and have a nice conversation.
Okay. So I'm Michelle Desormeaux, as Heather said. I have been, a lover of movement since I was 2 years old. So I love the stage and I love performing. I'm a fitness instructor and a dancing teacher. I've competed in pageantry and fitness shows over the past, 20 years. And I've held 3 state titles and national. I was awarded a national pageant title. And I also have won a couple fitness shows, and I won the world title in bikini 2 years ago.
Nice. So you're pro. You're like a professional fitness person. That's probably not the correct way to word it. But.
Yes.
So tell me, okay, so having won all of these things and had these accolades, like, how do you define winning?
Winning is not only getting first place to me at all. Winning is whenever you're along your journey to whatever it is that you are competing for, when you learn lessons about who you are. And whenever you become a better version of who you are throughout that journey, that's winning to me. And always finding a lesson before you even step on the stage, you're already a winner.
I'm taking notes because I learn as I interview. So I always like to have some notes. If you could go back through your journey, can you think of a defining moment that made a big impact on you?
10 years ago this week, actually, I had a skiing incident, a snow skiing incident. And I don't say accident because I didn't fall. I was just skiing and I was flying down the mountain and I just kind of did a hockey stop and I herniated a disc. Now, I didn't even know that I herniated it. I knew it hurt, but it wasn't anything that hurt that hurt me or impaired me at the moment. Mm-hmm. So I skied the rest of that day. I came home. I taught fitness classes all through the week because at the time I owned a fitness studio. And about a week after that happened, I squatted down and I couldn't get back up.
Wow.
And I herniated a disc severely. It was really bad. And I couldn't walk. I couldn't stand up for a good, probably until I had surgery, which was about 3 weeks after I did that because I didn't know for sure what was going on yet. You know, we had to go through the MRIs and had to find a doctor and all of the things that happened before. But it was kind of an emergency surgery when they realized how bad it was. And it was at that point or after that surgery that I realized when the doctor told me he was scared that because that hernia, the disc fragment sat on the nerves for so long, he was worried that after surgery, I would still be impaired with walking. He was worried that I was always going to walk with a limp or just not know when I was going to fall because that was still happening after surgery. It was then that I realized that I needed to do all the things that I wanted to do in life before it was too late. And I always wanted to compete in fitness, but I was too scared. Mm-hmm. And I realized then that, you can't let your fears hold you back because you never know when something like that's going to happen. It's so cliche and people say it every day, but I don't think that really has sunk into a lot of people. I think it just bounces off of us because we hear it so much, but it's true. We really don't know when our last day is going to be. We don't know if we're going to be paralyzed from the waist down or what. So I learned that if you want to do something, you just got to go ahead and do it.
Do it now. You might not have it tomorrow.
Yep.
So true. What's been of all of the things that you've won or all of the things that you've done, what's been the hardest to pursue?
Most people would say the fitness, but that was easy for me because I enjoy it so much. I think the hardest would probably have been interview. I was not a good interviewer or interviewee until I actually worked with you, Heather. I didn't understand how to interview well. So that
Mhm.
was always the hardest for me was how to talk to people, which is so weird, but that was it.
So what led you to me? Do you remember?
My ex-husband, actually, he started working with your dad for golf. And he was like, wait, Heather has this really cool program for pageantry. And I was like, whoa, okay, well, let's
Yeah.
do it. So he led me to you.
That's right. And you actually came to Texas. We met in person.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. Do you remember anything that you learned? Do you use it still?
Oh gosh, yeah. I use it every day. That I always talk about your program, how it changed my life. And it's, so many people look at pageantry as, oh, it's silly. People just get up on stage and they prance around and they're pretty. No, it's so much harder
Mm-mm.
than that. The interview section is one of the hardest parts. And I was preparing for a pageant, not expecting to change my life forever because I learned so many skills from you in the program of how to rewire my brain and change my mindset on an everyday level of just how I looked at different things in life. It's all perception, it's how we perceive life. And through my training with you for interview, it changed the way I looked at everything in life.
I well, I'm speechless. I love that. I love that. Thank you so much. And it was a lot of
Mm-hmm,
fun. I try to make interview exciting too, to where it's
mm-hmm.
not so grueling. And I think one thing that people if you don't know anything about pageant, you can get asked almost anything.
Oh,
It,
yeah.
and it's almost a quiz, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes if you go into it with this mindset of, oh, I hope they don't ask me this, or I hope I don't have to talk about this, or I don't know if I should win because this girl next to me is really amazing. You're missing the point. You lose
Mm-hmm.
before you even get a chance to win because you're in the wrong headspace.
Exactly.
So we got to work
Exactly.
on a lot of strategy and a lot of opportunity for you to look at it from a positive perspective.
Hmm.
So what do you
And a lot of people, one thing that helped me was there's no right or wrong.
Mhm.
It's who you are and what you believe, and that's what they're looking for.
If you could go back, would you or let me just ask you this, are you still competing in pageant or is that something that's yesterday's hobby and you're on to something else?
On to other things. I mean, I never say never because I never know what I'm going to do. I surprise myself. And I'm always up for a challenge. My niece the other day is like, "Oh, let's learn how to ride motorcycles." Okay, cool. Like whatever you want to do. So I never know what I'm going to do, but I haven't competed in pageantry in probably 10 years.
Mhm.
And then the fitness, I think I'm retired from competing in fitness.
Well, okay, so tell me about that journey. How did that start and what was the height of that for you?
So when I hurt my back, I decided then, I've always wanted to do a fitness show and I'm just scared. That's why I'm not going to do it. So I decided then that I would do it. And my sister actually found an organization that was more like a fitness pageant.
Mhm.
So I decided to compete with them because that was more um, my I guess my passion. So I started competing with that organization, and in my first show, it was April of 2015, and I had no idea what I was doing. I had no information on the organization I was competing with. I had no clue. So I actually flew from Louisiana to Connecticut to compete, and I got there, and thank God I worked with you because I was just in my own little world. I had my little blinders on, and I did my thing, and I ended up winning. And there was a good 70 people in my
Wow.
category, and I was shocked. I mean, I was shocked, but I wasn't shocked. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
um, so I got pro status in that show, and then I went on to compete probably 4 months later in the world show, and I got eighth in the world the first time I competed.
Wow.
So that kind of opened the doors to competing in the fitness shows. And so I competed again for about a year, and then my dad got sick with dementia, and I kind of quit competing and doing everything so I could spend as much time with him as I could until he passed on in 2018. And after that, when COVID hit, I decided, you know what? I want to compete again. And so I started training and I went for the world title and I won the world title actually I won the USA title in December of 2020. And then I won the world title in August of 21. So that was the peak.
I could see someone listening to you going, okay, so she enters, she wins, she enters, she wins, she enters, she wins. It's not that easy. So
No,
what are things that you had to do in order to put yourself in a position to be capable of winning at those levels?
complete mindset. Um, Before I worked with you, I had competed in so many pageants and um, so many different things of competition, but I won one, but it was stroke of luck. But it wasn't for me. But I always was first or second runner up.
Mm.
And after working with you, I realized it wasn't because I didn't have it in me to win. It was because I believed truly that, in true middle management words, I only believed that it was like me to get first runner up.
Mm.
And I truly believed that about myself. I didn't believe that I was a winner. I didn't believe I deserved it. And when I started believing that after working with you, I started soaring in everything I've done. And it's because I believe in myself. I believe it's like me to win.
So what was it? Was there anything specific that you remember telling yourself that helped to unlock that, or anything that we worked on that helped you kind of unlock that belief?
It did. The one thing that stands out the most, and it's probably because when I was younger, I was so worried about what other people thought of me.
Mm-hmm.
There was something that I don't remember if it was, I think it was in our training. It was also in an audio that I had from you that you had said, if you walk into a room and there's a group of women or whoever, a group of whoever ahead of you, and they're laughing and pointing in your direction, if you automatically think they're laughing and pointing at you, then you're gonna believe that. But the true reality is if you turn around, there could be a clown behind you and you don't know, you know? And so when I realized that, it just opened up this whole new world of, A, why am I worried about what other people think about me? And B, even if they are talking about me, can I control it? Nope. You taught me that too. We can only control three things. And when I realized that and truly held on to that and started believing that, it's like I lost all perception of that other people could even possibly be talking about me or worrying about that.
I remember there's a quote. I don't know who said it first, but it's, if you knew how little people actually think about you, you would be offended. And meaning how little time they actually spend thinking about you. And it's so true. Like, if we really thought about it, I don't think about other people a lot. You think about yourself a lot, usually, and not always in a positive way. But if you're thinking that everyone else is hyper focused on you, they're really not.
Mm-mm. They're not. They're worried about themselves.
Mm-hmm. And they're probably worried about what you think about them.
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah. That too.
Great. And so we're all just kind of stuck in this little cycle. So the audio that you mentioned, so we have two pageant audios, and I think you have both of those, like what every pageant contestant should know first about the mental game and mental toughness for pageantry. Both of those are now on the Solutions for Pageantry level on my She Wins Patreon. So if you're interested, if you're not already a Patreon member, be a Patreon member so that you can listen to those as well. But it's so true. You never really know. Don't assume. Assumptions get you in trouble. So what's another piece of advice that you may have been given in your life that's made maybe the greatest impact on you?
This is another Heather one as well. What is it? Perfectionism is the purest form of procrastination.
Yeah,
is that it?
Perfection is the purest form. That perfection is the purest form of procrastination. Let me say that right. Rewind. Perfection is the purest form of procrastination.
That's it. Did I say perfectionism?
Yeah. Yeah. But
That's a Michelle.
Yes. A Michelleism.
There we go. Sorry. Yeah. No, like that's really helped me out a lot because I do art as well and I decorate cakes and cookies. And I find myself on top of my art or on top of a cake and I'm like looking at it and I see the little details, but whoever's receiving the art or the cake isn't looking at that one little detail. So
Mm-hmm.
when you step back and look at something as a whole, you realize that you can't you can't try to make everything perfect, you know? And if you do, you're never going to get anywhere in life. And I've destroyed many cakes by doing that, by trying to make it perfect. You destroy things. So if you just
Yes.
roll with what you have and learn the mistakes along the way, I think that's the better route to take.
And that quote actually came from my dad.
I
Perfection is,
did.
yeah, he said it first. Perfection is the purest form of procrastination. And he's talking about don't wait until you're perfect to enter or put yourself into the ring because you'll never start.
No.
Because perfection doesn't exist. It's a waste of valuable time to try to reach what is not even possible. And
Mm-hmm.
so you'll be
It's true.
disappointed, literally disappointed every day in your life if you strive only for perfection. So I'm glad you learned that. What tell me about a time when you didn't win, but maybe you learned something valuable.
That's a good one. So I learned 2 years ago, after I won my world title in 21, I probably should have just hung it up at that time
Mm-hmm.
because I had gotten to the top. I
Mm-hmm.
got where I wanted. And I think there was a little side of me that got greedy
Mm-hmm.
and I wanted to do it again, but it wasn't in my heart because I'd already done it. You know what I mean? And and I competed again the next year and I got third, which I'm not saying is bad. That's
Mm-hmm.
awesome to get third in the world. But it made me realize that sometimes you just need to stop and not get greedy.
So like your desire to do it wasn't from a place of like this will fill my soul, this will warm my heart, this is something I feel called to do. It was more I want to win again.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Exactly. And I humbled myself enough to realize that.
So if people want to follow you and follow your journey and A, what are you up to now and how can someone follow along if they want to?
So now I am coaching women who compete in fitness shows on their confidence and walking on stage, how to pose on stage, but not only stage presence. I also coach how to be confident in life and how to carry yourself in life, how to rewire your brain with diet, with exercise, with overcoming the battles of low self-esteem, and that type of mental management with everyday life as well as stage. So, but if you would like to follow, my Instagram is Michelle, Michelle, Desormeaux, Desormeaux.
When you mentioned, helping people with like everyday life challenges and struggles, and you talked about like confidence issues, and like, was there a time in your life when you didn't feel confident?
Mm-hmm. Um, and and it's crazy. Most people I went to high school with or that would know me would never think that I was not confident. I was on the dance team in high school. We were a national winning dance team on ESPN, but I was not confident in myself. I could get on stage and dance and perform and I could MC things, but I didn't feel confident in me and in my own skin.
What's your advice to, because I have a lot of people that follow me that are younger. And so hearing you say I was on an award winning dance team and nobody in high school would know that I wasn't confident. There's going to be somebody watching this and they're like, yeah, that's me. What's your advice to that girl, that high schooler who everyone thinks she's got it together and she knows she doesn't?
I would say don't let other people define who you are. Sit down, take the time to quote, date yourself and ask yourself the hard questions. And this is something that I learned from you too. I didn't know who I was. And that was why interview was so hard for me. Like you said, that's one of the hardest questions asked in an interview. Tell me about yourself. You think that that would be easy, but it's really hard. And I had no idea who I was until I sat down and made out a list of questions that you would ask almost someone that you're going on a first date with. You know, like, what kind of books do you read? Why do you read those books? Are you reading them only because so and so said to read it?
Mm-hmm.
Or are you reading it because you really like it? What kind of TV shows do you watch? Do you like that show because you like it, or that's what's popular? Or, you know, what kind of music do you listen to? What really sets your heart on fire? Those types of
Mm-hmm.
questions, and get to know who you are and become confident in who you are. And that way you can be your true self and own who you are
I think it's so
instead of relying on what others think about you.
I think it's so true. You have to know who you are before you can own who you are. And if
I
you're
agree.
a lot of things that I hear is like the idea of being able to walk into any room and feel confident walking into any room, especially as women. And I think a lot of times we're not confident to walk in the room because A, we don't think we belong in the room. And B, we don't even know why we should walk in that room because we don't know who we are.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think a challenge that I have for people is take the time. Like, take the time. Sit down with yourself and determine, who am I? What are my values? What are the things that I bring to the table? Why am I worthy of whatever dream it is that I'm going for? Why should I get it?
Mm-hmm. Do I believe I'm worthy of it?
And sometimes I will tell you, this is something my dad said because, you know, he won an Olympic gold medal. He's world champion many times over. And he said, you know, there was nothing about winning a world championship or an Olympic gold medal that is actually realistic. Dad was actually like the world's worst at almost everything at the time when he decided he wanted to be an Olympic champion because he wasn't a real confident athlete and he hadn't found rifle shooting yet. But he had a desire to be the best in the world at something because a kid told him he couldn't. And I think about it, I'm like, yeah, there's really nothing realistic about winning an Olympic gold medal or being a world champion like you are. It's not a realistic goal. It's a goal that you set because you want to challenge yourself to see
Mm-hmm.
how far can I go.
Yeah,
And
very true.
would you agree that like winning the world title, while that's great and that's an amazing accomplishment, which matters more to you, what you accomplished or who you became in that process?
Definitely who I became.
Because who you became, you can help someone else get there because you've been there.
Exactly.
But if you,
Exactly. And you know, and it's, to me, it's not even only about helping someone to win a title. It's about helping someone to change the way they think about themselves, to love
Mhm.
themselves.
Well,
Because I think that's when you truly win, is to realize that you need to love yourself.
I'm so honored that you a came to work with me however many years ago, and that now you're doing essentially what I helped you do. You're helping
Mm-hmm.
other people determine like who do they want to be, what do they want to accomplish, what do they need to change about themselves in order to get it. But you're helping them in an area in which I'm not equipped. And that's like the fitness and that side of things. So I'm so excited to see what happens next for you. Do you have anything on the horizon or you're like, everyone just needs to follow along?
Follow along.
Fo-
I've got things up my sleeve, but I'm not gonna put it out there just
w-
yet. But keep following along, and
follow.
yes,
We're gonna
and
follow
you just
along.
might have a chance to work with me.
It is possible. You never know. And I think people should follow if they are interested in, especially if you're a woman and you're interested in getting fit or confident within your diet and your exercise, follow Michelle. Follow along. And
Mm-hmm.
you've got some really great content already out there that they can go back and watch and learn
Oh,
from.
absolutely.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm gonna have to go back and watch some of your reels and things because I watch it every now and again, and you'll pop up on my feed, and I'm like, oh my gosh, she's doing such cool things, and that's why I reached out. I was like, Michelle, I've got to have you on my show. And you're like, yes, it'd be so
Hey,
fun. Thank you so much for taking the time to spend with us
well,
today. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna jump on, and we're gonna do 2 more interviews. We're gonna
okay.
talk to Michelle about maybe her advice for women because for our Patreon, I have Patreon membership. If you're not a Patreon member, I highly recommend that you join. My Patreon membership is for women who want to excel in life. And so I spend extra time with my guests and really do a deep dive into what were the practical steps that they take in order to reach the goals that they've reached. So we're going to tackle that. And then for pageantry, since you do have experience in pageantry, and honestly, I think your fitness experience is probably vital too. We're gonna do some fitness tips for the pageant girls out there for my Patreon level for pageantry. So I'm excited to continue to talk to you. Thank you.
Okay. I am excited too.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much for watching. Like this if you do, share it with a friend. I'm going to continue to talk to Michelle.